All right, guys, today we're going to be working on an online lesson. We've got a couple of people that are finishing up their tests, so we're all going to kind of be starting at different times. So what you're going to do, this is going to be just like a regular lesson. This is exactly what you would follow along with on the board, except you're going to do it at your own pace at your desk. Okay, so as I go through the notes paper, what you're going to do is you're also going to fill out your notes paper. Then you're going to have a couple more practice problems to do independently when you get done. So you're going to go back to Google Classroom, to our online lesson document, and do those. So we're starting our decimals unit today. And today we're going to be working with just adding decimals. So a couple things that we need to remember from years past. Okay, when we are adding decimals, we're first going to rewrite the numbers so that they line up vertically. And we're always going to be lining up our decimal points. Okay, so we're not going to line up the ends of the numbers, but we're going to be lining up our decimal points. That's why we have the graph paper, is to help us keep everything nice and neat and lined up. We're going to put one number per box so that everything stays nice and neat and even. Okay, now something else to keep in mind. We're going to add zeros after we line everything up. We're going to add in our zeros as placeholders, and then we're just going to add straight down the column. Okay, something that sometimes we forget is if the decimal is out of sight, then it's all the way to the right. So if I'm looking at 213, the number here, I don't see a decimal point on it, but I know if it's out of sight, then it's all the way to the right. So I'm going to go all the way to the right of the number, and I'm going to put my decimal point. Okay, all right, so let's actually try it out. What we're going to do is we're going to line up keep the decimal points lined up. That's the biggest thing. When we're adding and subtracting decimals, we're going to keep those decimal points lined up. So I already know it's out of sight, it's at the right. My decimal is all the way to the right of 213. So I'm going to put my 213, I'm going to put one number per box, and I'm going to put the decimal point all the way at the end. Okay, and then I have a 4.2. So I have a 4, line up my decimal point. Now notice how the decimal point doesn't get its own box. That decimal point is on the line. That just makes it easier to keep everything lined up. And that's a 4.2. Okay. Then we have 0.635, and we have 13.54. Okay, all right, so I've lined them all up vertically. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in zeros as placeholders. So behind my 213, I see that I need 1, 2, 3 placeholders so that my numbers are all nice and neat and they go out to the end, so I can just add straight down the columns here in a minute. Behind my 4.2, I'm going to need 2 placeholders. Looking at my 0.635, I don't need any placeholders because it already goes out to the furthest side. 13.54 needs 1 placeholder. And now that we have everything nice and neat and lined up, what we're going to do is we're just going to add straight down the column. So 0 plus 0 plus 5 plus 0 is 5. 0 plus 0 plus 3 plus 4 is 7. 0 plus 2 plus 6 plus 5 is 13. So I'm going to put a 3 here, and I'm going to carry the 1. Now, where I see that decimal point, I'm just going to drop it straight down because that's why we lined it up, so it's going to stay in the exact same place. I'm going to keep adding. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 4 more is 8, plus 3 is 11. Carry my 1. And then I have 1 plus 1 plus 1, which gives me a 3. And then 2 plus nothing gives me a 2. So what I want you guys to get in the habit of is putting a box around your final answer. So our final answer for this problem is 231.375. Okay, let's try it again. Let's take a look at 3.082 plus 16.4 plus 6.42. So what we're going to do is we're going to stack these up vertically while we line up the decimal points. Okay, remember, we're going to put one number per box. So we have 3.082. Then I have 16.4. And then I have 6.42. Okay, so we line them up vertically. Okay, I'm going to put my little equals to line down here. The next piece is to add in our placeholders. So my first number there is actually my longest number, so it actually doesn't need any placeholders. My second number, I'm going to put in 2 placeholders, and those are my zeros. And then in my third number, I'm just going to put in the 1 placeholder right there. Now all we have to do is add straight down the column. So 2 plus 0 is 2. 8 plus 0 plus 2 is 10, so I put a 0 and I carry the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 gives me a 9. I'm going to drop my decimal point straight down. Then I have 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus 6 gives me a 15, so I have a 5, and then I need to carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. I'm going to put a box around my final answer, which is 25.902. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to practice one more all together. So I'm looking at my problem here. I have 0.54 plus 2.8 plus 24. So immediately I know that the decimal point for that 24 is out of sight, so it's all the way at the right. So go ahead on your notes paper, put that decimal point there so we don't get confused. And plus a 3.017. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to line those decimal points up vertically. So we have 0.54, 2.8, and then 24 points. So here's my 24, and there's my decimal point. And I have 3.017. Okay, so I've got all of these numbers lined up vertically, got all my decimal points lined up. Now I'm going to put in my placeholders. So on my first number there, I need one placeholder. On my second number, I need two placeholders. On my third number there, I need 1, 2, 3 placeholders. And then our last number is the longest one, so we actually don't need any. Okay, so now all we're going to do is add straight down that column. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 7 leaves me with a 7. 4 plus 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 8 plus 0 plus 0 is 13. So I'm going to put a 3. I'm going to carry the 1. I'm going to drop my decimal point straight down. Okay. And then I have 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. So I'm going to put a 0 and I'm going to carry the 1. 1 plus 2 gives me a 3. So for our final answer, we have 30.357. All right, flip over your notes paper. Let's take another look. We're going to practice 2 more together. So for number 3, I'm looking, I've got 4 plus 9.2 plus 0.34. If that decimal point is out of sight, we know it's all the way to the right. So on my 4, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that decimal point there. So when I go to line up my decimal points, it's easy to see where it's at. Okay. So I have 4 point. Okay. Then I have 9.2. And then I have 0.34. So we've got all of our decimal points lined up. Now we're going to add in our placeholders, and those placeholders are zeros. So behind the 4, we need 2 zeros. And behind my 9.2, I need a 0. And that's actually all we need. So now we're just ready to add straight down. 0 plus 0 plus 4 gives me a 4. 0 plus 2 plus 3 gives me a 5. We're going to drop that decimal point straight down. 4 plus 9 gives me plus 0 gives me a 13. Okay, so my final answer is a 13.54. Okay, number 4, last one we're going to do all together. We have 1.278 plus 6.57 plus 0.098. So all of those numbers already have our decimal points in it, so now all we have to do is line up the points. So we have a 1.278. We have 6.57 and 0.098. All right, so we lined up our decimal point. Now we're going to go in and we're going to plug in our placeholders. I actually only need 1 0, 1 placeholder, and it goes right here to keep everything nice and squared off and lined up. Now we're just going to add straight down the column. So 8 plus 8 gives me a 16. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. 15 plus 9 is 24. So I put the 4 and I carry the 2. Okay? 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 plus 0 keeps it a 9. Now I'm going to drop that decimal point straight down and add my last column. 1 plus 6 plus 0 gives me a 7. So our final answer is 7.946. Okay. All right, guys, so what you're going to do now is you're going to practice 5, 6, 7, and 8 on your own. You're going to go back to the online lesson document on Google Classroom and submit your answers for those. If it comes back that your answer is incorrect, I want you to erase. I want you to use that same graph paper and correct it, okay? Then you're just going to follow along with the rest of the steps that are on the online lesson to finish up.